From its inception, the atomic bomb has terrified the world.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Ever since its first use on Japan at the end of World War II, the implications of the spread of this technology has haunted humanity. As Cold War lines began to form, an arms race developed, and Soviet leader Joseph Stalin warned, "Atomic bombs are meant to frighten those with weak nerves. Monopoly ownership of the atomic bomb cannot last for long."
I ask you to stop and think for a moment what it would mean to have nuclear weapons in so many hands. In the hands of countries large and small, stable and unstable, responsible and irresponsible, scattered throughout the world. There would be no rest for anyone then, no stability, no real security, and no chance of effective disarmament.
9, 9.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. These are the stakes. To make a world in which all of God's children can live, or to go into the dark. We must either love each other or we must die.
Vote for President Johnson on November 3rd. The stakes are too high for you to stay home.
Fortunately, these dire predictions never came to pass. Instead, a variety of international arrangements arose to govern their spread, including the creation of the International Atomic Energy Agency and the Non-Proliferation Treaty. While not perfect, these frameworks helped slow, if not reverse, the spread of nuclear weapons.
A nuclear conflict could well be mankind's last. As I've said before, my dream is to see the day when nuclear weapons will be banished from the face of the earth.
Today, the threat has shifted from great power rivalry to broader proliferation concerns. The international non-proliferation regime is strained by countries outside the system or in defiance of it, and by non-state actors whose willingness to use such weapons might not be constrained by fear of retaliation. The first of these challenges centers on the pursuit of nuclear weapons by Iran and North Korea. These nuclear programs threaten to destabilize regions already fraught with tension and possibly spark regional nuclear arms races.
We are on the brink, after years and years and years of containing rather well the emergence of new nuclear weapon states. We are on the verge of cascade of proliferation, unless we are very, very careful indeed and find ways collectively to hold the line.
A second concern revolves around the shadowy black market in nuclear technology, which has fueled proliferation since the early days of the atomic era. Today, that black market is more sophisticated and dangerous than ever.
Essentially, A.Q. Khan had been running a Sam's Club for nuclear weapons. The knowledge that some of the centrifuge parts were produced at a special factory in Malaysia and then shipped to Libya is absolutely startling.
But what is most startling is not the scope of Khan's network that stretched as far as we know across 10 countries and involved at least 30 companies and middlemen, but that so few countries, companies, or individuals have been held accountable. Apparently, the stiffest penalty the Pakistani government can impose on those who sell the nuclear crown jewels is house arrest.
Will the international community be happy with the decision of the Islamabad High Court, because they also said about your involvement in the nuclear proliferation?
Let them talk. Are they happy with our God? Are they happy with our Prophet? Are they happy with our leaders? Never. So why should we bother what they say about us?
A third, and perhaps most terrifying danger, is that of nuclear terrorism.
9/11 made quite real to the United States, and indeed the entire world, the danger of catastrophic terrorism. But a nuclear bomb detonated in one of our cities would dwarf 9/11.
This threat is in a class by itself. There is nothing that comes anywhere near close to this threat. And therefore, it should be the absolute priority. Why have we not, 6 years after 9/11, developed a detection device for nuclear materials?
Fourth is the lack of commitment and leadership from the nuclear club to take non-proliferation and, indeed, disarmament seriously.
It is impossible for the nuclear powers to insist that no one else can have nuclear weapons. They do not show some willingness to modify their own programs.
So the idea here is to stop proliferation. But to stop proliferation, there has to be examples set by the countries that have these weapons, not simply standing on a podium with 20,000 weapons under your feet and lecturing to people all over the world not to develop them.
We need new trust that nuclear weapon states fulfill their obligation to pursue nuclear disarmament.
In the face of these challenges, the international community faces difficult choices between offering incentives for cooperation and countering threats with threats, between going it alone and building effective institutions to prevent catastrophe.
The gravest threat that America faces is the danger that weapons of mass destruction will fall into the hands of terrorists. We must curb the spread and use of these weapons. Nuclear, biological, chemical, or cyber, and prevent the development and use of dangerous new weapons.
Rules must be binding. Violations must be punished. Words must mean something. The world must stand together to prevent the spread of these weapons. Now's the time for a strong international response.
Will the world move to strengthen the global non-proliferation regime, or will our efforts be lost in translation?